More breaking news, my heart cannot take it. Khamzat Chimaev versus Gilbert Burns is in the works. The fight has been talked about by everybody except for official sources and matchmakers. Now we have it. It's officially in the works. Burns versus Chimaev on April 9th for UFC 273. The fight has to be 5 rounds. We gotta make this fight 5 rounds. It's not gonna be the main event. I want to see how far this fight can go because Burns is not only the best fighter Chimaev's ever fought before. Khamzat is literally going from number 11 to number 2 in the rankings. He's skipping over 9 fighters to get to Gilbert Burns. He just beat Lin Jing Liang, who was not in the top 10. Gilbert Burns is such a big step up in competition. I have no idea if Khamzat is ready for this. And I have to say it. If Khamzat beats Gilbert, he's going to get a title shot. Whether he deserves it or not, he's going to get the title shot for sure. He's one of the biggest names of that entire division. We know the UFC loves this guy. I mean, who doesn't at this point? And the champions of 2 divisions, Usman and Adesanya, already have their eyes on him. And the guy is number 11 in the welterweight rankings. If Gilbert Burns derails the hype train, does he get a title shot now? It's questionable. He just beat Wonderboy Thompson, who was top 5. He beats Khamzat Chimaev, yeah, he's number 11. The risk of losing that fight, with the fact that everybody's going to be watching it, it would have to put Gilbert Burns in consideration for the next title shot because honestly, who else is there? Leon Edwards is getting it next, for sure, right? The next guys are Belal Muhammad and Vicente Luque, who are fighting each other. Does the winner of that fight get it over if Burns beats Khamzat? It's all up in the air from there. I would say if Vicente Luque beats Belal Muhammad and Burns beats Khamzat, then Luque should probably get the title shot and have Burns fight one more time. But how does this fight go down? It's really hard to know. There's a lot of unknowns about Khamzat Chimaev, and this is the kind of fight that's going to test him and unveil a lot of what he's actually made of. This is the kind of fight we probably will be able to find out his striking, how durable he actually is, if he has cardio. What happens when someone attacks him off their back? If he goes and wins this fight without showing us any of those things, which means he uses his wrestling to dominate Gilbert Burns, I don't think there's a man in this division that could beat him. On paper, stylistically, Gilbert Burns is probably the hardest fight for Khamzat Chimaev, not including the champion. Gilbert Burns is a natural counter to any wrestler. They don't want to go to the ground with the guy. He has insane Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has good offensive stand-up. He's fast, he's powerful, throws many different kind of techniques out there, and he has loads of experience. Khamzat Chimaev does not have the experience, but he's much bigger than Gilbert, and other than we know how good his grappling is, we don't know too much about his striking. We don't know if he can go out there and beat Burns in the stand-up game. We know he can knock Burns out with one punch. We know that for sure. And Burns does not have a good chin. Burns also doesn't really move his head that much, but he's a hard guy to hit at times because of how fast he is to move in and out. So in the stand-up, it's all going to come down to if Khamzat can track down that footwork and land the right hand on him. If he wants to try the grappling, it's going to be dangerous for Khamzat for sure. But here's one thing that we know about Khamzat. What he did against Lin Jing Liang to set up the takedown, he was gauging distance of the footwork, and then once he got it down, he feinted up high, getting the leech's hands up in order to shoot under for a takedown. And we know Burns likes to throw that right overhand. It's one of his most used weapons. It's the punch that he knocked Kamaru Usman down with, and Burns is a relatively aggressive power puncher, which could leave a lot of openings for Khamzat's takedowns. Up against the cage, he relieves a lot of the threats, but in the center, he runs the risk of getting submitted. We really don't know the extent of Khamzat's striking. He's going to probably strike more in this fight than any other, because simply just shooting takedowns at Gilbert Burns is probably not the best idea. Mixing it up with the striking makes him a lot easier and avoid a lot of the submission attempts from Burns when Khamzat's initial takedown goes through. Chokes and leg locks are generally going to be the biggest weapons for Burns to go to, and the best thing he could try to do is reverse and get on Khamzat's back, but that is so hard to do, man. Khamzat's so big for this division. His wrestling is eons ahead of Gilbert Burns. For Burns, it's all going to come down to getting a choke against the takedown and trying to reverse if he gets to the ground. So man, it's honestly such a hard fight to predict because we still don't know too much about Khamzat. And man, I cannot wait for this fight.